Released on PC and PS4 January 22nd, 2019, and now on the Switch on December 26, 2020 by developer Vrensky and publisher Untold Tales. The Hong Kong Massacre is a twin-stick top-down room-clearing sim. Yes, apparently that's a thing now. Thanks to the publisher for the review key. But I really don't want to see 50 more of these popping up in 2021. Yes, everything is a fad or a potential fad apparently. A filmmaker creates the Blair Witch Project, every amateur and pro filmmaker alike grabs a camera and makes another found footage movie. A developer makes a cool 2D pixel art retro styled roguelike. Guess what everyone else is gonna make? Yeah. So, while I'm not taking a crap on the Hong Kong Massacre, I'm simply saying I've seen Rico, Door Kickers and a few more popping up, so yeah, I'm just saying. The Hong Kong Massacre doesn't lean too heavily on its story, but if you've been on Earth for more than 3 decades, then you've probably watched a John Woo film. If you haven't, then let's take it up a notch. You've probably watched Mel Gibson's Payback, a John Wick film, hell, a Quentin Tarantino movie. Then you'll figure this story out 30 seconds after the title screen. Some well-guarded, influential bad guy has wronged some lone badass, and it's time for, say it with me now, revenge. Payback. Whatever you want to call it. I'd usually say for games like this, the story doesn't matter much. What matters is the action. But no, I'm going to definitely say this game needed a stronger story and story delivery. Here's the thing, there isn't much to this game. When I saw the trailers, I started thinking Max Payne, Stranglehold, games like those. Now I'm not saying Stranglehold had a great story, or Max Payne for that matter. But the delivery in both games and others like this was stronger, and when running and gunning, diving and shooting in slow motion gets old, you may want a little something to keep you engaged, or at least interested. And the problem here is, both Max Payne and Stranglehold offered significantly more than the Hong Kong Massacre. So what I'm getting at is this. Since as it stands, the Hong Kong Massacre is one short, simple, repetitive game that had it a proper fleshed out story, and by fleshed out I mean some cutscenes, voice acting, scores, not this top-down static thing with no voice acting, it would have been a much better game. You're leaving too much to the imagination of the players. So with that said, let me get to the sound. The music is pretty okay, but just that. There's very little variety and the tracks seem to be on a very short loop, but it's okay because the stages are fast and short, but the complete omission of voice acting, that was just a bad choice. This game has the potential to explode with character and personality. To have no voice acting here feels like a wasted opportunity, but it goes further. There are no voices, period. I mean, even in game. To be in these high intensity gunfights and no one says a word just feels wrong. No one even makes a peep when shot. Now, while one may argue, indie games don't have the budgets for voice actors all the time, I'd have to say this. Grunts and screams do not require professional actors, so what's with the complete silence? The visuals are adequate. Actually, if you don't nitpick or look too closely, they could be considered pretty good. I do wish they eased up on the red and black though. It makes it harder to read the text, and generally the game just has a dark red and black look to it that makes its duration and difficulty a saving grace. You can choose your difficulty, but whichever you choose, you'll notice one constant. This game is all about your rhythm, and once you've secured a proper rhythm, hard, normal, easy, the game is doable. And that brings me to gameplay, the game's savior. And what a savior it is, as gameplay is and always will be king. Now, I won't be handing out any awards to the Hong Kong Massacre, but it feels good for what it is. And if you treat this game as just that, what it is, you'll see where disregarding all my earlier complaints could be justified. If coming into this you're looking for a quick pick up and play turn your brain off fast-paced bloodbath, then you may actually enjoy this game. The controls feel pretty good. I could have done without the aiming reticle, but still good. And this is interesting. When using the game's gimmick, which is the ballerina style shooting, where you dive and roll in slow motion while taking everybody out, you may actually feel invincible. But the interesting part is, you're far from. Diving isn't as arcadey as you may be expecting. There's nothing wrong with how it's implemented, it's just more a simulation feel than arcade. You don't want to be spamming the dive button, it won't end well for you. But you can, on the other hand, spam the hell out of that slow motion button though. The slow motion feature feels like the real difficulty selection. Use it, the game becomes that much easier. Don't use it, then there's even a special challenge and reward for that. I never got that star though, I can tell you that much. So, if a quick round of clear the room is what you're itching for, then this game is for you. I must say though, I wanted more. Not too much more, but more. Playing through the Hong Kong Massacre feels like you're being offered little to no incentive to play through it. You have a very small selection of guns which you can upgrade, but after upgrading the handguns with the unlimited ammo perk, I quickly concluded that this was the only gun I needed for the entire game, and that's exactly what I did. The other guns do not have that perk, and picking up guns from your fallen enemies has to be the most infuriating part of this game. You can't reload. Your guns go empty, you have to pick up another. I got shot way too many times because of that, so I stuck to the evil I knew best. I hate boss battles, so the easier the boss battles are, the happier I'll be. But here in the Hong Kong Massacre, not only are these boss fights easy, they're also all the same. Now, like I said earlier, if you watched any John Woo films, you'll get my references. So, in many John Woo films, we see the scene where the good guy is on one side of the wall and the other guy is on the other. They run down the wall while shooting at each other. That's fine. But the dev decided to use that same gimmick for every boss fight. What if you could use a different cliche for each boss? I don't know about anyone else, but I'd be real curious by the third boss encounter to see what's coming next. Food for thought, maybe. These bosses could even be beat without the whole wall running thing. You could just find a decent cover spot and keep spamming the slow motion, then after a few well-placed shots, which is fairly simple since the AI is so bad, the boss would be out for the count. Unfortunately, I also ran into a couple bugs when jumping from rooftop to rooftop. So, this is my take on the Hong Kong Massacre. Do I hate it? Nope, not even close. Do I love it? Hell no. Maybe I'm the problem. Perhaps I entered into this with unrealistic expectations. I'm thinking another indie game with cool visuals, gritty action, and a story that would put sleeping dogs to shame. It's clear, isn't it? I was really looking forward to the story. Instead, I get this. It's not even an explanation, as the interrogation scenes mixed with the bartender conversations didn't give me much to go on either. Like I said, I felt like the dev was leaning more on players using their imaginations, and this not being another roguelite, I really expected more. It is an indie game though, so with that being said, I'm certain the dev works with very finite resources. I suspect, based on the end credits or lack thereof, I may actually be onto something. Also, as with all indie games, it's priced well in the eShop, and it's a great pick up and play murder simulator regardless. AAA games are all well and good, but many times, if you'd like a truly unique experience, one off the beaten path, then the indie scene is where you want to be. Show your support for independent game developers. Most if not all indie games are priced relatively low. Some are even free with the option to donate, so there's really no reason to pass. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If I pissed you off, then we all know where to find the various hate buttons, don't we? Either way, I won't hold it against you. Our game is never over.